for retrieving all users, for that one, it will be quite easy. So it will be user DIL get all. We will implement this function. And there, inside of our DIL, let's create another static function, get all. And here, it will be, yeah, we will return find all. And again, our table is users. And then you see it returns the OODB in like as an array. So it will still be an array, but an array containing multiple OODB. So yeah, OODB bin. And perfect. So let's have a look. We can try that one. I haven't tried, so that will be fun. Here, if we go to users root and we do see the default one, retrieve, we can create a new one. Retrieve all perfect. And then user action retrieve all. Awesome. Perfect. So now we can try this. Retrieve all. All right, let's do that. Let's go here to be action retrieve all. Oh, yes, first. Do I have the dimension user UUID? No, retrieve all. So we have create. I will just fix a little bit the indentation here. Because it has to be like that. Just to make it a little bit cleaner. Perfect. So yeah, that looks better. So the error says that it's looking for the variable, the argument must be a type string, but we have retrieve all. So let's have a look, line 31 in user roots. So if I go to user roots, line 31, retrieve. Why it's calling all here? You see I have retrieve. It has to be retrieve all. This is why. So now I should duplicate where I was default. That's fine because we have that one too there. So now if I send again, you see, beautiful. I have all users. So all of them are showing there. But now we don't want to expose probably the ID there. This one is fine. It's the key of the array for each of them, the index. I mean, it's actually an object, but yeah. So the key of each object. Let's remove the ID and to be consistent as well. So let's go back to our user service. And there we can do users with a S because we are getting all users. And then we do similar to there, but The problem here, because it's, you know, if I do a var dump, maybe it will be more explicit for you. We have a lot of different users, so we won't be able to remove it like this. You see, it's an object, and then we have to loop. So for doing so, we can use array map, which will be really easy. We don't have to loop. It's much more cost efficient in terms of performance for our application. And array map, it's also really readable because our code will be shorter than a for each loop, for instance. And you can see it applies a callback. So how we will implement this? Well, we will do, for instance, how I will call it, modified users equals, and then here I will have array map, and so I will have, that's our callback. So we have a function like this, like a lambda function, and there it will be, so it will be something like this. This one, you see, similar to a lambda function. You can see on the documentation, do they mention with a lambda, with the anonymous? No, they don't, but in because it's a callback, we can just have a function, and for us it will be, we are going to use array map with, yeah, like this one. You see, we are including this one inside automatically. So it will be it will be something really similar, you will see. So there I will have, like, it will be element, for instance, and then here it will be onset, and similar to what we did earlier there, we do onset user ID, or it's better actually to call it user. Perfect. And I can mention array, the type, ID, and here I need quotes, single quotes, and then I can return back the user array for each user. So here it's like each user, each object. So it does like a loop. And then there I will have our users, all of the users. I will mention it as a second parameter of array map. So similar to, you see, we are there. Yes, we are there. So again, this one will be our, if we can see, oh, there you see they use also the arrow function. For us, we won't be able to, because it will return automatically on set. Yeah, it won't. I don't think it will work. We can always try, but I doubt. And then we can return this one, the modified users, like this. Perfect. You see, it's quite different. Oh yeah, I can just do inline. That's just a suggestion from PHP Storm. Like we can just do return. We can return right away the array map, like this. You see, it looks even better and cleaner. So now let's try. Oh, I have a little error. And my error is from line 54. Line 54. Oh yes, probably the type. I think the type is red bean type. I will probably do object. It should work. Yes, because object, it's also the class ODB bean. So you see, now we don't have the ID anymore. So that's fantastic. That's the power of the array map. Again, like I said, arrow function here, it won't work because we have to return after. We have to remove first the user ID and then to return the user array, because there are two expressions and with the arrow function in PHP, it's only one. That means I could have done something like that. Probably something like this, and then I would do only returning the ID. That would have probably be working, but then we would have only, you see, the ID only. So this is not what we want. We want to unset the ID and then to return again the user. So this is why we have to use the traditional Lambda function. Wonderful. Let's focus on the deletion with Redbean PHP. Now that we have the retrieve and retrieve all working correctly with our database, let's do the same with remove. This will be also quite easy. The first thing we will do is to implement a function, a method in user.dll. So for doing so, let's go to src folder dal, and there user.dal, and after the getAll method we have previously done, let's create a new method. By the way, if you wonder what's a method, why you don't say function but you say method, well, methods usually are functions in a class. So in object-oriented programming, we call a method a function in a class, because in a class, a method will do something part of an object. So it's indeed a function, but the name it's different. But you can also call it a function, but a method is always a function inside of a class, in the scope of a class. A class or an abstract class, or could be also an interface. So here it's public static function, and then I will have, the name will be remove. Remove, so I have getAll, create, so remove. And here, the name of the argument will be user UUID. And there, I will need with Redbean PHP, I need to have the user bean. So here is the get function after we use export. But in our case, we just need the bean, so this object, to be able to remove a resource. So to be able to remove a row from the database. So we do R. So we have to find first the user from the user UUID. So we do find one. Here I will call the table name with a constant, which is users. And then I will do user UUID, similar to what we have done here for the get. Then I will have a array, and first I will have here, I will do the binding, so colon, and then user UUID. And here in the array, I will have, the key will be user UUID. The value, however, will be this one from the argument user UUID, perfect. And then, so here to be user bean equals, and now I can use the delete function of Redbean, which is trash. I know it's funny, trash, and there I will insert the user bean. So RedBean PHP will know automatically that I want to delete that user from that ID, from that bean. And because in RedBean PHP, when you get to resources, actually they call it a bean. And here we do return, it will return an integer, true or false. So here I will do int for integer with PHP. And that will be all for the remove function, remove method. Then I will add it, I will implement that one in our user service. So now you can go to src, and from there service, no S, and there user DLL, perfect, and then remove. And here user UUID, I will change to user UUID to be more explicit with our variable name. And here it's Boolean, but I will do because it returns an integer there. Or actually I will do Boolean here. And what I will do, because this one, if the user doesn't exist, this one will be null. So I will say if user bean, if we find a user, otherwise it will be null. If we find a user, then we can remove it like this. And here we do return, and I will do a cast to a Boolean. So with PHP, this is how you cast. So if it returns 1, it will be true. If RedBean trash will return false, it will be 0, sorry, it will be false, because we cast to a Boolean. Same as when we want to cast to an integer, but here's to a Boolean. The opposite. And there, if the user is not found, we will return automatically false, like this. And again, we use the guard clause approach, because we could otherwise, oh, I made a typo, we could have done otherwise like this, but you see, it's less readable. It's just nicer to do this one and to keep it clean, less code, not nested. And we see if, yeah, we return. So here we exit the method, and there, otherwise, so if it's true, it will return there, it won't go beyond. And if it's false, it won't go, if it's false, it won't go inside of there, and it will go here, it will return false. It will return false when the user is not found. Or false also from there if there is an issue with while RedBean PHP is trying to remove that customer, that user. So here I do return, and it will be a Boolean, and then we can remove that. Beautiful. And here I can remove the else. So it will look like this. Now I think it's time to test it. If I go there, yeah, remove, we should be good to go, and we should be able to test it without any issues. So for doing so, again, I will go to my database. Here I will select all users to have a look what kind of I think I need let's create some new users, because I have deleted, I think I deleted the table for some reason. So if I do show tables, you see I don't have I don't have tables anymore. And that's an issue because we need to have users, and I will just create quickly. Let's, for you, probably you won't have to do that. But in my case, I will quickly create a new user. Perfect. So now if I do again, beautiful. Red Bean PHP has created a users table for us, and I can do select all users from the users table. Oops, I don't need from users like this. I had a code, so that's why it didn't work. And here I can see I have a user UUID, and now I can just do, here I don't need a body anymore. I can do user action is remove. Now, as you can see, I'm still using the non-friendly URL. For you, obviously, please go ahead, use the Apache server we have installed locally, and use the friendly and more readable URL syntax we have done previously, like this. In my case, it's just because I'm running the inbuilt PHP server with PHP S flag, and this is why, I just did this 127.0.0.3, and this is why I don't I just use the inbuilt PHP server. So in our case, we can do end ID equals, and then I will take this user UUID, and there I can paste it, and I will see true. It says true. So let's see if it got removed. So I can do select. Oh, I don't have users anymore. And if I try again, it will be false. Why false? Because we have said here, if this one is null, then return false. If we didn't do that, we can try. If we have done only this, you will see what happens. You see, I have an error saying that, it requires a bean and it got null. Indeed, because this one returned null because it couldn't find a customer, a user. So if I just do that, you see, it got null. So this is why we had to do this condition. Really important. Perfect. So this works. That's wonderful. And now, here, let's just add a comment also on the array map. By the way, we have done previously for the retrieve all, and I will say remove sensitive fields. Maybe, because usually a comment is actually a code smell, like we shouldn't have comments. Or maybe I will do serialized data. Remove, for the moment, we'll just do remove ID field from remove unnecessary ID field. But ideally, the function name should say what it will do, but here we'll just keep this inside of the function. We won't refactor, it's not really needed for now. And there we can even add a return type, which is object as well, like this. So now, as you can see, we could remove a user successfully. That's amazing. And the validation also works properly. I'm just checking, we validate the UUID first. So now I will create again a new user. just quickly. Perfect. And here I will do JSON. I will create 3 or 4 or 5, and then I will go back, and first I will check the users. You see I have a bunch of users, and I will remove again one with the ID. Boom, you see it works. However, now maybe I will mention the user ID not like this, but inside of the body. How to do that? If I want to do this, try to think similar to the create. It will be really easy, but again, it requires a little bit of time, because indeed the schema will be similar to the create one. So we need a schema like this first with the attribute, because I will then have a JSON body. So it will be JSON here, and here it will be user ID, for instance, and then, you know, similar to this field. So then I will have like this, if I want to do that way. And here we will do in user service, just so you know how to convert, we will have, it will be a little bit different, because it will be v attribute, and here it will be user ID, you know, like this. And then it will be similar to the schema we have above, to that one. It will be, you know, we mention v and then UUID, and it will we will check after if it's valid. So it will be similar to that, but here it will be v UUID, and then we check if it's valid. If we receive a UUID, then we get the UUID, but again here to be data, however, object, similar to the create one. You see we receive the object, we can even do mixed, let's see, and then we do here to be user ID, sorry, not there, but there to be user, to be first data, and then user ID. We first validate if it does exist, and that way we will remove it. We can try it. Oh, I just have an error. I think it's from remove. So if I check, and the line was 87, that's always useful. So 87, indeed it's because this one will be then post body. We'll have to convert to post body. Post body is a stream, the PHP stream we get to the content. And now I can try again. False, okay. I will mention a new user UUID, a valid one, like this. And now let's try true. Now let's select all. You see it got removed, and now false. You see, this is how you can convert, for instance, the remove to have the UUID in the body instead. And I think for remove it looks nicer and a little bit safer to do that way. So we can add that schema like what we did for create. We can add it to our validation class. So here I will do public function is, it will be is remove schema valid. Again, it's for user because it's user validation. And here it will be a boolean it will return a boolean, and there we will do, oh, actually this one is redundant, that comment, I will remove that one. Then we will have schema validation equals, it will be a bit shorter, it will be just the attribute user ID, and the data will be this one, this data. We can return, because it's a short one, we can do that way, even quicker. You see? And that's it. And so we can use it like we can do user validation equals new, we create a new instance, and here to be data, and there, so we have data, private, what does it says? Property can be read only. Oh, can it? Because I never changed it. Oh yeah, that's a nice suggestion. We can add it read only. Although it's private, but it's better to also mention read only, because inside of that user validation, we don't mutate the data property. So here we'll have if user validation is remove schema valid, and it will be the case if we have a user ID there mentioned. Again, we can actually do user UUID too, although that's what the client sees, and in the front end, like anyone can see the body, the client, the front end, our web application sends to the API. But yeah, UUID, that's fine. We can actually change the schema to UUID, and then here we can do user UUID. So if it's valid, we call the property from there, user UUID. So now let's try that. Let's use a user I haven't removed. Let's use that one. And now let's paste this like that. Send. It works. So now if I do select all users, I only have 2 users left. So perfect. So this works amazingly well. You see, we have done a nice job. That one I can remove. That's also redundant comment. In all those kind of comment, it makes sense. Validation schema, yeah. It's up to you, but sometimes, it's a bit personal what comment sounds needed or not. Validation data, or we can say like let's validate the data. It's also to help you. This is a course anyway. It's a course and it has to make sense for you. So that's why sometimes I prefer to add more comments so you know better. Just let me know in comments what you think about the comments. But usually a comment, it's a code smell, because if you need a comment, it means your code doesn't self-describe, doesn't self-document itself. That's it for removing a user. And just before to finish, it has been quite a while we haven't committed our code. So let's do it now. Let's go to our project, because for retrieving all users and now for removing a user, we haven't committed our code yet. And it's nice to see what we have implemented. So here we have the get. So yeah, for the get user, for the get all, to retrieve the user from the database, to retrieve all users from the database, and to remove a user from the database with redbean. That's the new methods we have added to user DLL. So I say yes, validation data. That was, to me at least, a redundant comment, because indeed we can see explicitly that we validate the data, user validation. There we have added this nice array map to map and to use a lambda function to remove the user ID, because we don't want to return this when we retrieve all users. And then here, retrieve, we check also for the validation for the UUID. Then we get the user from the database. We remove the user ID because we don't use the user ID. It's only used internally by Redbean PHP. So we don't want to expose that field to our API when we use the API, the result of our API to our API client. And then we return the user, and if a user wasn't found, then we would return an empty array like this. So yes, here again I have removed a redundant comment. Then here is to remove a user. So you see it's quite simple what we have just done now, what we have done now. And then here I have removed a redundant comment. I have changed and I have added the read-only keyword. So read-only PHP, it's available since PHP 8.1, is relatively new, but it's really nice. It adds more, more checks, and it makes our code more secure but more readable as well, because we can control better what we want our attributes of a class to do and to have access. We have already the visibility access, the visibility modifiers, but now we have read-only as well, read-only keyword. And then we have here is remove schema valid. We have added a new schema because we want to validate to remove our user with the UUID passed in the body instead of the get parameter, for instance. So yes, and then here it was just some indentation fixes. And finally here we have retrieve all mentioned in our match from user roots. So if I go actually to user roots, retrieve all, perfect, and that's it. So now I can just git commit, add, maybe retrieve all and remove user from database. And now I can do git status, or I just added a new blank line to be a little bit more readable. Usually I add a new line after, so just before the return. So instead of this, I do that. This is just what I prefer. So above a return statement, I always have a new blank line. And yeah, so I do yes. I will do git commit amend to add that new change in our current commit. And now I can just do git push. Beautiful. All right, so now let's implement the update method to be able to update a user in the database. So we have done already the create one, we have done the retrieve all, the retrieve, we have done the remove, and now the exciting one, the update. You will see the update will be a little bit different because with Red Bean PHP, it will be really similar to create, almost the same actually. So in user DLL, so if I go to my data access layer folder, user DLL, and here at the end of the file, or maybe we can actually do just after the create method, since it will be quite similar. And there I will create a new function, a new method. It will be public static function update. Here we will also use the user entity. So we expect to receive a user entity object, and there user entity. And finally, for the return type, I'm not sure yet, so we will leave it blank, empty for now. So for now it will accept any return type, and here it will be user bean. So first we will have to retrieve the user, and for retrieving the user, so I will first do user UUID equals, and here we will take the user. Wait a minute, actually let's first do string user UUID. So first the user UUID, and then we are expecting the user entity. Let's add a second argument of the update method, and here it will be similar to remove. So we will first find the user, so R, and then find one. Here it will be the table, so table name, users, and then there we will have user UUID equals, and then here it will be user UUID. So user UUID, that's from our database, from our table. So in the database, users table, and we have the user UUID table created previously, by this one. And because we mentioned to Red Bean PHP to have a user UUID, every time it sees this, it will create one on the fluid mode. And so fluid mode is when this one is not freeze, it will automatically update and adapt the database schema on our development environment, and then we are all good for the production environment. And here I will do, so that's the SQL query. So here I will bind it, so it will be user UUID, this one variable, and then the value, it will be user UUID. Beautiful, like this. And then here I will use the user bean, so we retrieve the user. So first I will check if the user exists. If it does, we update the database. If the user exists, update it. Perfect. And then we will use similar to there. So we will have user bean, first name, we want to update the first name. Then we do, here we will use the user entity from there. So user entity get first name. And again, all of these, we will set the user entity in the user service. Don't worry, we will do that just after in the user service. Now, user bean last name equals, again, similar user entity, get last name, and then we want to update, maybe not the email address, phone number maybe, sometimes, but email address, usually for security reason, at least for now we want. You can always allow it if you wish. And then, yeah, pretty much that will be it for now. And finally, here we will save. So we save it, we save the object, the bean. So we do R store user bean. Save the user, perfect. And that's pretty much it. We can close the connection with the database. Beautiful. And yeah, that's it. So at the moment we can actually, it won't return anything. Or we can do stores. Let me have a look. We can do this. Return. And then we can just return like this. So we still close the connection. So here, close the connection with the database. Although you don't really have to do this, but it's always nice. And then yeah, return actually will, if the user hasn't been found, then how can we do it? So user bean, if the user has been found, otherwise we won't. Yeah. So user bean, we can do this. Or maybe, yeah, I can have a default. Yeah, it will make our code a little bit harder to read. You see, otherwise I could have a default one. Return. We can also do that. Why it says, oh yeah, I need to obviously to change to integer or string. This is what it returns there. And here it should be Boolean. Yeah, maybe let's, for now we won't close the connection with the database. Let's keep it clean and, let's make it simple. At least it's a little bit easier to read. Return false. We can do 0 here. If we cannot update, at least we only have 2 types. It's easier, it's cleaner. The more the function will return types, the harder it will be to maintain. Like if we have here a Boolean as well, and then maybe later we'll have, I don't know, another type, it will be harder to understand the logic in there. So that's it for the update one. Now let's go to user here and update. So the user service in SRC, and then you go to service, user, and there, the schema first, we might have to update the schema because we want also to have the UUID. Let me see. Update. So there, first we receive this. How we will do it? I'm just trying to think. Otherwise, yeah, I think I will create a new schema for the update. So what we can do here, we will just remove that, and we will do again a schema validation equals, and then the attribute we will have first, which is the first name. It's a string type. Length, again similar to the create one, and here it will be self minimum value, self maximum length. Perfect. And then we have, you see, like this. Then we have attribute again, last the string type, length, self minimum name length, self maximum name length, and then we have the email. Oh yeah, it has to be attribute. Perfect. Here to be email, the string type, length. Perfect. Self, and here to be minimum, maximum length. Awesome. And then we'll have attribute, phone, the string type, and for the phone number, so email, sorry, we don't need the length for the email, and it has to be email. What did I do? Email like this, and mandatory will be false to update, and we don't want to update the email actually. It will be phone, oops, phone. Perfect. It will be like this, and that one we can remove. However, we also need, I just do this because we need to validate the UUID as well. So it will be the attribute user UUID, and then it will be the UUID. Awesome. So first name, we validate the length. Last name we do as well. And do we really want to update to allow users? Yeah, sometimes we don't write our real name. So yeah, for the moment at least. And then I will just do return schema validation, validate, and the data we assign from the constructor. Perfect. Beautiful. That looks good. And here we can do is update schema valid, and then user UUID equals, it will be post body user UUID, what we will retrieve from the body when we send the request to the API, similar to this. We do that later. And so in my user service, you see I have the user UUID. We'll get from there. And then, and again, all of the fields will be optional. They won't be mandatory. So all of them, false, and then false. And this is also the reason why we need a new schema for the update, because indeed we have a UUID. Also, we expect a UUID from the body when we will receive the body when a request is made to the API. But also all of the fields will be optional, because not all of the fields will be updated. Sometimes the user will only update the first name, the last name, and yeah, so maybe we want to receive everything from, it can be from a native app, it can be from a front end, a website, a web application, and so on. So maybe it will only send that web application, or that native app might send only the first name or the last name to us, to our API. So this is for the update schema, user UUID. Then here I will do user DAL, and then it will be update, and here I mention the user UUID first, and then I mention the post body we receive. So first, not post body actually, because we have to use our user entity to set everything. So equals new user entity, and then user entity, what do we want? Set first name, it will be post body first, and again it depends if it does exist or not, so we have to check actually. For doing so, how we will do it? Something like this. If we have a first name, if it has been mentioned, we set it. If post body last, then we can also do the same here. User entity last, or set last name, and then post body last. If post body phone, if someone wants to update the phone number, user entity set phone, post body phone. Perfect. And here we'll do post body, beautiful. And finally we can return all of the data. So here, I mean, we return just the data we received from the body as a result. At least for now we do that. And there, and only if it's valid. So we can even do this. If it's valid, otherwise we can return an empty array, which will be converted to an object because we do JSON encode here, so it will be an empty object at the end. And then here I will do, because it's an how I will do that? But there I sent also an empty array. With the mixed actually. Here it has to be mixed because can be object or array, and there too I will do, or maybe I can do array object. Perfect. And there too object array, because you see we sent an empty array. Perfect. So that one works. Return value is, yeah, I have, oh sorry, I thought I updated that one. Oh no, my bad. It has to be create, not retrieve. So create here on create to be array or object, and then on the update one, object, array or object. And with you see, with a union type, because we accept two types, I will move the update method just below the create function like this to be a little bit easier, because create and then update similar to what we have done for the user DLL. And then here, if everything looks good, we can do, yes, we update. We can here inside of the update. So when we call update, or you know, I will maybe do without. I will do this to be a little bit cleaner, like that. And then here, if invalid, give back an empty array. Perfect, an empty response. Awesome, as you can see. So now here, I will, you know, this one, well, sometimes this will be null, because if we don't set the first name, it will return nothing. It won't be assigned at all. So you have to take this into account, and we will add the save null question mark here, question mark. It means it can be null actually. The value can be null. So let's do this. And same for, could be for email to phone. Let's add this, and meaning that we want to say that the first name, the last name, when we get them, they might be null as well. Perfect, like this with a question mark, because it's exactly the same as this, because it could be that if we don't update them, if we didn't receive the phone number to be updated, well, there it will be null. And it means we shouldn't update them. So here, we will quickly do this. User first name equals, and then we can do user first name, and if we do receive it, we update like that. Oops, $1 sign. Perfect, like this. And then if user last name, and same here, I will store that, and I will move the comment here and there. User first name, user last name equals, and then user phone equals, and here to be user get phone. And so if we receive this, we update user last phone, or I can just do first name. It's quite explicit here that is from the user, because we are in the user DLL class. Phone, and then here to be first name, first name, yeah, first name, last name, perfect. And then here to be if phone, and then we update the phone number, And then finally, we save what we have, what has been set, as you can see. And then we store it, we update, and pretty much that's it. And actually, when we create a user, I just think about it, email and phone number, remember, it was optional. You see? That means ideally, we should do exactly the same for create. So for create, we should have done something similar to, because once again, this was optional and that one too. So for creating the phone number and the email was optional, meaning that ideally, although maybe we want the user to set a phone number and an email, at least an email, I think it has to be required too when we create a user. But the phone number could be optional or not. If you want to have it mandatory, then it will be easy because we won't have to do this kind of condition. And the same in the user DLL. But if you want to leave it as optional to create a user, then to prevent errors, you should also do this kind of condition in the create method, similar to what we just have done for the update method. Perfect. So now we can try it. Let's get a user and let's see how our update method works. So select everything from users. What kind of users I have? I can use that one. I will keep it clean. I will remove, because I've done some tests before. I was playing around and you might be a little bit confused with this. So let's create a new user first. Let's start from scratch. So we will create a new user, or 2 or 3, and then now I will do show tables, and now we'll do select everything from users. I have 3 users. I will take that UUID and I want to update that user. So action will be update, and here the UUID will be that one. Let's update that one. I have an error. User entity on line 68. So the type was incorrect. On line 68. So here. Oh yes, indeed. It has to be from user entity. My bad. So it has to be like that a little bit. I mean, exactly the same as there, We give the user entity object for update. We pass with the user entity object. So now this one, yeah, it works. If I change my name to Francois, and then here my last name to Begin, let's try that. And now if I will select that user, I will do select everything from users where user UUID equals this one, limit 1. I mean, that one is not needed. And I can see my name has changed. Wow, amazing. And now if I change my name to, my last name to, I don't know, Warrior or anything, and I will check, it's different too. Wow. However, if I change the UUID to something else, oh, it's empty because it's invalid. Now we have to be careful, because that way someone who knows a UUID from a user might be able to update a user they don't belong to. So we will have to test the authentication with a JW, JWT token. So we'll have to do that later. JWT token for validating if the user belongs, if the request we receive is actually a authentic request, and it's actually from that user and not someone else trying to update a user they don't belong to, they don't own. So we'll have to do that kind of test with a user authentication token, but that will be for later. So now, as you can see, we have implemented the update and we successfully update our user without issues. So well done. That's pretty much it, and it's amazing. And now you see, if I don't mention last name, it will also, last name should be fine, because if I don't, it's optional. User line 60. So line 60. Yeah, here indeed I will need to, we can use the safe, the null safe operator like this. We can do that, and so that way, if I do it again, last name line 60. Oh, I still have line 60. Oh, that wouldn't work actually. It wouldn't. Not in this case. So in this case, PHP doesn't want this. So I can do, if it's not empty, let's try this. Yes, that would work. So if it's not empty, we can use that one instead. If it's not empty, perfect. And now we can remove the null safe operator, the question mark, because this post body is actually from what we receive from the PHP stream. So when we send this payload to the API, we in user root we get to the stream, and this is from where post body is. So it's not from a actual class, and this is why maybe the null safe operator didn't work. So let's use with empty, not empty, not empty, not empty. Perfect. So again, empty PHP is that one. It works on objects as well. And if I do null safe on properties, you see, normally it should work. If I go there, it should be the case, but sometimes I believe in our case it's only because the syntax is similar to property method access. Value property. Yeah, in our case, I believe it's because the post body is from the PHP stream, and so it works differently from what we receive, the input we receive from the payload. So now if we go back to our user service, we check if it's not empty, and if it's not, we update the user, and this one will work. And then if I make sure it's a valid UUID, a valid user ID, last name, oh, that's a different error. From user entity, we try to access something that hasn't been initialized. Yeah, this does happen with PHP 8. So let me see, user entity line 53, because we try to access to this. So here we will assign to null the value by default. The optional properties, we will assign them to null, because what it says that it hasn't received, like it hasn't been initialized. So because it hasn't received a default value, well, PHP will give an error like the one we just received. So now this one, you see, works because we set a default value which is null by default. So since now it's null by default, when it will try to access to get first name, and we do that here in the user DLL there, this one, where the first name already got a default value now, null. So for the optional ones, let's give null as a default value. And now we can easily update only the field we want, first name, and then if I check again, my first name has been updated. Wonderful. And now let's update our code. Let's add the changes we have done with Git. So what we have done for the update, to update a user, we have created the user method in user.dll. Nice. And first name, last name, phone, all of the fields are optional, obviously except the user UUID, because we need to know the user ID to be able to know what user we want to update. We have to update. Here, first name, last name, email, and phone from the user entity are now optional. And that's fine also to create a user, because even to create a user, maybe in the future, last name will be optional. We don't necessarily want to ask the last name for a user to register on our platform. Get name, so again, it might be null. So we assign first the null value to these properties in case they are not defined. Here, get last name, get email, we just changed the return type of the function of the method signature. Here, create can return indeed array or object, because if there is an issue, an exception, we return an empty array. And then here, update, in our user service, we have the new method, the new update function. We have moved it because before it was in a different place too, and we have moved to just above the create function. Awesome. And then here we have email and phone. We have updated the schema. So to create a user, now if we go to our validation schema, and to create, we want the email and phone number to be mandatory as well, mandatory and not optional. Here, to update, we have created a new schema, a new validation schema, and that's it. So now I can commit this, allow to update a user saved in the database. Perfect. And one more thing I would like to cover here for update, we should actually catch the exception, because save might throw an exception. And so similar to create, we should also have this. So we'll just add the throws PHP doc there to mention it might give an exception, because this one we might receive, oh, it doesn't anymore actually. If it's frozen, what does it do inside of, oh yeah, it does. So in user service, we will do try, similar to what we have done for updating. I will move this, the empty array. I will, how I will do it. If user is a result, so we can just, here we do return empty. I will move the comment there. Perfect. And so now I will do try. Or maybe create. Yeah, I will do this, because it's not nice to have SQL there. I'm just thinking how we will handle the exception there, because you see we have a dependency. We shouldn't have red bean PHP in our user service. This is not good, because user service shouldn't be aware of what library we use to update the database. So ideally in user.dal, in create, I should do something like this. So here I can remove actually that, and I can do this, because otherwise, user service shouldn't be aware of what kind of dependency we use or what kind of database. It's a anti-pattern otherwise. So here, SQL from red bean. Oh yeah, I have it now imported in user.dal, and here to be exception, and there I will just return 0. We could do that, and then here finally to close the database. Oh yeah, but we have return there. Yeah, it's a little bit tricky, otherwise we don't handle the exception from there, and that's fine, because whoops will handle, yeah, maybe we don't want to show that on our response for the client, because database errors, usually you don't want to expose this. So yeah, that's okay, we can do that way. It's okay if there's an error, we don't close the connection. Usually nowadays you don't have to do this anyway. And here it will be similar, try, and then catch SQL return, or maybe we can do return false, but then we add a new type. It will be false, or it could be Boolean, but we can use false. So false is actually new. False type PHP, I think it's since PHP 8.2, it allows null and false as standalone types So we can have false as a type. It will be only false, it won't allow true. This is what it means. So there we can do try catch. I will just double check that we allow 8.2, or it has to be 8.2 here and 8.2. Perfect, because indeed now our project uses false type, which is available only since PHP 8.2. And so in user DAL, I have this wonderful false, and here return false, and there I will also do false at the end if the user bin, if the user hasn't been found. Perfect. And that's for update. I will remove this because we catch the exception. And same here, I will do return false. Awesome. And here I can also have a finally statement close. So again, finally PHP exceptions. It will always be code. So try catch and then finally, that will always be there. So it's optional, and a finally block may also be specified, and the block will always be executed after the try and catch blocks, regardless whether an exception has been thrown or not. It will be executed, the finally block. So finally, perfect. So it's not a statement, so it's a block here. Return will be a statement, but finally that's a block in the language structure. Perfect. So we have finally there, and there we need also the return type will be false. Beautiful, like this. So now I believe we are good to go. So our code looks like this for update, you see, and then for create. And in user, we can remove the create, the try catch, and here for the create, we can do, so here it will be create result, or we can do, yeah, we can still do this. If it doesn't work out, we can assign to result variable, and there it will be if, return makes more sense, because result, it sounds like we have some users, like we expect to receive something like a user, which is not the case here. So here to be return, and if it's not valid, or we can even do, if we want to be more explicit, false. If we receive false, which we will if it doesn't work, then we can do that. Then we can set an internal error and give an empty array for the client for our API. And again, that empty array will be anyway converted to an object thanks to JSON encode. So user service like this, otherwise we return the users. So it will be like this, and here it will be similar. We can remove the try catch, and there we can do the same if user false. If we receive false, I like to use the strict, the strict type comparison. It's always a good practice. So equals, 3 times equals, and here if it's false, we return this, and otherwise we return the post body. If invalid or error or got an error, give back here. Perfect. So here we return false if there was an issue updating the resource, or also if the user wasn't found. And again, store, because it might give a integer. This is also why it's good to do the strict type comparison to make sure if it's false, then we give an empty array, because 0 might be success too from store integer. In our case, we only want to catch the false there, or that boolean that false. Awesome. So now we can just quickly have a look if it's still working, and to create a user, I need, obviously here I need a last name because all fields are required. And if I do this, it does work. Do I have the new user? If I go there, from users, perfect. I do have the new user. And now if I try to update that one, update, and here I mention the UUID, I say new name, perfect. And here if I select that new user, where user UUID equals this one, yeah, it has been updated. Wonderful. So you see, now it looks cleaner, beautiful. So we can just update all of these, and for doing so, let's go back to our terminal and let's do git add p. We changed to PHP 8.2 because we use, for sure, even before, the main goal was to use PHP 8.2, but now since we use the false standalone PHP type, we definitely need to here create. You see, we have the false, perfect. And this one, we do a try catch in the user DIL, return false, and we removed obviously any dependencies in user service. That wasn't nice with PHP Red Bean. User service shouldn't be aware of this. And now we have this. If false, then we set the internal error. There, you see, perfect. And we return the post body, that's for update. Yeah, for update, then we return. That's why when we update a user, we receive always the result, the new result. It's always nice because maybe the client, either a web application or a native application, will need the new payload, what we just updated. But now, obviously, if we attempt to update a user that doesn't exist, like here, if I do 0, it will just give an empty array. Oh yeah, it's an empty array, not an empty object. My bad. No matter if we convert, it will still be an empty array. That's fine for now. Yeah, sorry, the JSON in user roots, the JSON encode doesn't convert an empty array to, if we do PHP sandbox quickly, you can see here, if I do if I try to convert this empty array, I execute that, it will still be an empty array. Now, if I have a value, however, now it will be an object. So wonderful. We have done everything. So now we can just do git status, git commit, and here handle better errors. We do clean up, handle nicely errors. We sort anti-patterns. Perfect, that looks good, and we can push our code. Wonderful. In this video, I would like to quickly go back to user roots because I think we can make it cleaner. Indeed, the way we have used the enumeration with PHP, I just found that it could just be simplified. This one, we actually don't need this. And for each request, I will just move the comment, so just so we know, as a reference for each of them, we will send the valid HTTP status code later on, which we haven't done yet, but that's fine. And there, and probably update, it will be 200 as well. And then from there, we will remove this and we can restore our enumeration, because when the enum is like, we have the enum there, and so with PHP they call it to restore it. So like what we did is in the config. So enum, as you know, it's like a class, and when we get that one here, we are actually restoring the value, and there we are accessing to the unserialized value there, value which is a read-only value. You see, it's from the backed enum, and we do just like this for the value. That was in the database.inc.php. But now, for us, in the user roots, we will do something a little bit similar. We will also use try from, similar to there, because we don't want to have the enum, the from to throw an exception, just null. This is why we are going to use try from. So again, try from will, if the value given there, if the given value is not found in the enum, in the enumeration, it will give null. But with from, if the value is not found, it will give a value error exception. So for us, we will do user action equals, and then the enumeration, the name, user action, and here we restore try from, and there we pass the action we just received from the browser, I mean from the API client, and there we can use this. However, if it's not found, it will give null here. So if I try now this, you see it won't work because it gives null. And again, like I said, if I just do from, because the action is not found, it will give, you see, a value error exception. So in our case, we will do if the user action is found. That's perfect. So that's fine. We can remove that comment for now. So the comment, again, for your reference, it was about the JSON API, the different specification. I suggest you to have a look there, the JSON API specification. All right. And here, if we have the user action, that's perfect. But if we don't, I don't want to do else here. I will probably, how I will do this. Yeah. Well, I will do else now. Else, if not, if user action is null because the request is something that hasn't been found in the user action enumeration, we will give the default 404, the one that we have added already as default in routes.php. So we will add that in user.routes.php. In our case now, we will require this, similar to there. And that will be it. So I'm just looking in index.php. Yeah, that's fine. We go to user, get response. Yeah, so it will be like this. I'm just looking if we can, have something a little bit cleaner. We always have a way to, but for the moment we can do this. So if the value received from the request action is found from the enumeration, one of these, then we get to the request and we proceed here. If not, we just give the main.root.php file. We include that one, which is this one. And so that one will give a 404 error. Let's try this. You see, request not found. And if the request is valid, it works. So that's really good. And yeah, you see, it's less code. It looks cleaner. Give the default not found response. Maybe this one actually should be renamed to not found. It will be more explicit, and we can then remove the comment we have added here. This is a bit like a code smell. We don't need that comment. If we need that comment, it means the file name is not correct. The file name should be better. So here, if I rename my file name to not found, and there, you see I rename there, not found.routes.php, and in user.routes, again not found. PHP Storm automatically renamed the file name for me. For you on a different code editor, or Visual Studio Code or something similar, you might have to do it manually to rename user not found.routes.php in routes.php and the same in user.routes.php, because we have renamed the file. Perfect. So let's try. Everything works now. Here to be not found. Yeah, it is. You see, this is much cleaner. And now I will just quickly commit this. That's the changes. We have moved to the commands. Don't worry, I will just add probably a to-do, but we will add, I will just add this to not forget, but we will add the HTTP status code later on. Perfect. And you see we have removed this for only this little code instead. Perfect. And we can commit that. Clean up user routes. Awesome. And we can push our code to our Git repository. In this video, let's set the proper HTTP status code for each request we already have for user. So when I go to Insomnia, for you, maybe it might be Postman. When I create a user, at the moment when I delete a user, I always have the same HTTP status code. Unless the request is not found, I have the 404 not found, because we already set that one in the not found routes PHP. You can see we send the HTTP not found. And we do the same when we have a validation problem. We then send a 400 HTTP status code when a validation issue occurs. And then we send a 500 HTTP status code in the service user, just here when we attempt to create a user and there's an issue with the database. We then send a 500 error. We give back the 500 error to the client, to the API client. And we can actually add the same in the update one. When we attempt to update the customer, the user, and it doesn't work properly, we can also do the same. So we just add this, also setting a status code when there's an issue while we update it. You know, it's false. Why it's false is because we return false here because we got an exception from Red Bean PHP. So you can also do that there. And then for us now, what we will do and what we will focus on, create, if it works properly, we should also send a status code. So here we can do header, send, oh, it will be similar to there. So it will be HTTP, sorry, not header, HTTP, set header by code, and there it will be, we will use the status code from just HTTP, the package we previously installed. So you can see we have the just HTTP code, and we have the, where is that one? Yeah, the PHP HTTP response header. And that's the two ones, the two ones we have previously imported for the 500 error. And in our case, we are now sending a 200 awk when the response is correct. Beautiful. It says here that is optional because by default it will be 200, but I prefer to be explicit. Instead of doing that, I always prefer to be explicit. So that's done for the 200. When we, 201, yes, we can actually set 201 is created. Usually when we create a resource, we will send a 201, perfect, on the create. However, for the update one, there we will send a HTTP code. We will send the awk one, so the 201. Perfect, like this. Beautiful. That's when we update a resource. That's when a resource has been successfully created. Send A201 when the user has been successfully added to the database, to DB. And then here, send A200 code to client to the response, so to here, when the user has been updated. Beautiful. And here I will do the same. So you see, it's nice to have an inline return directly like this. We inline the return, but I will also send a status code. Send a 200 arc. I mean, 200 is by default, so normally 200 we don't have to actually, because that will be always the default one. If I get all users now, actions, it will be retrieve all. It will be, oops, I have an issue. Probably resource user action, something might not be correct. Let me double check this. Retrieve all. Oh yes, it's upper. I will change to lowercase. That will be easier because it's case sensitive. You see, and by default it's always 200. So there, I will just remove this. It's optional for the update as well. It will be 200 by default. And we can observe this here. You see, 200. There, retrieve all, we don't need. Retrieve, it will be 200. And for removing, that will be a 200 as a 204, sorry, because I mean we sent a boolean, but if we don't send any result, we can just send a 204, 204. So here, send a 204 if the user has got removed, if the user got removed. And then HTTP send header by code. It will be HTTP status. Oops. Status code, sorry. And then no content 204. And then we don't have to return anything. No boolean, nothing. So here it will be, yes, in the service I will keep it quiet, and I will do like this. Oops, I have, oh yeah, I have to return, or maybe let's still maybe for the moment we can comment that one, and we will still send a 200. So yeah, this is concerning the HTTP status code. There I'll remove one. Oh, I have a 500 here because, oh yeah, I've changed the 32. Oh yeah, I forgot to return again. Perfect. I put back now the return statement. And oh yeah, the error is different actually. So 32. Let's see why we have that error. So the argument data was B type. Oh, I have probably, is it that one? Yes, I had a syntax issue. Yes, so we might we could do this just to prevent this to happen, and that way we'll have just invalid UID if object, because it was expecting an object, and here because I had an issue, I had a syntax issue that could happen too with my object, my JSON object, you see, and then I had null there because JSON decode couldn't work, and so it was returning null from there. So this is why I had that issue. Yeah, that was the reason why. So now we see, or if I do mixed, maybe mixed would work too. Mixed would allow null. Yeah, it would. So I can just change to mixed here. So it can be null too, because it can return null, as we have seen when we have a syntax issue in the payload. So here I can add a comment, set mixed type, because if we get an incorrect payload with syntax errors, JSON decode gives null, and object wouldn't be valid here. So we'll just add, I will add a break line, be a valid data type. Perfect. That way it would be more appropriate. So well done. Now let's commit our code, our changes. And here I have indeed, we have just added a 500 in the comment. We set a 201 when the user has been created and added to the database. We also sent a 500 error when we attempt to update a user, but it didn't work because of an internal error. We do the same as the create method in the user service, just there. Beautiful. And yeah, like this. And then after here, we have changed mixed from object, because indeed when we have a syntax error like this, if someone tries to add a body and the body is not valid, well, what we receive, the type the method expects, has to be accurate. And indeed, if it's not valid, because JSON decode would return null, it has to be mixed and not object. And then here on the remove method, we were about to send a 204, but finally we decided to leave it as it is and to continue sending a 200, because we will still send back the response to the client, and also it will be consistent that way with the other endpoints. Otherwise, the remove method would return void, but the other methods return something. When we look at user roots, you see all of them, we expect them to return something. As you can see, we have string. That's why we have to keep as it is. So I will we keep the 200 sending from remove, and then we changed also the caps. It's not uppercase for all. For the A, we keep it as only lowercase because it's a URL and it's much better that way. I will also add that as a commit. And then we removed the to-do comments we have added before. Perfect. And now I can commit it, and I can say send correct HTTP status code for each user endpoint. Beautiful. And I can push my changes. Here I will just show you a good example of a comment. So if you go to user DAL in your src DAL folder and you go to the create method, that one, you see here we return ID. Although we will return the data we receive from the client API when we create a user, a customer, but the user DAL will, for the moment, and maybe the way it will be used later, it will be reused elsewhere by another function, by another class, by another method later on. Maybe the create method user DAL, we never know, it could be reused elsewhere, not only in the user service. So the purpose might be different. So that's why we return the ID, but that ID is from Redbean. The internal ID, the increment ID, we don't use it at the moment, and at the moment we don't even expose it. We actually onset the ID. You see, we did that previously in some previous videos. So this one, I can obviously mention a comment just so we know, like ID from Redbean PHP. I can say increment ID. But what I will do as well, because a comment is usually a code smell, if our code needs a comment, it means that if our code cannot be understood without a comment, maybe our code should be different, should be either refactored, or maybe the comment, the variable or the function should be renamed, and a comment shouldn't be there at the first place. So in the first place, probably no comment. And what if I do Redbean increment ID? At least that's explicit, and here we do that. And then I don't even need the comment, because our code self-document what it does. So the variable, it's self-described. It says what it does. Redbean increment ID. It's not too long. Okay, it's not a short variable, but at least we don't need a comment. And usually a comment, when we rename or when we refactor our code, we tend to forget to update the comments. So it's always better to keep the variable names and the function names updated and not having 100 lines of comment. So that way, this way is the best way we can go with. And you see, if our code is self-descriptive, well, it's so easy for any developers to join the code base and to understand right away without the need to check on documentation or on an external tool or by asking a colleague. No, the code speaks by itself. It's self-descriptive, and this is exactly what we want all the time.